Hello everyone, I'm Via from Via Creates and welcome to this new video. Today I'll be showing you all the process of making my Jeff the Land Shark Boudreaux spreads. Out of all the characters that I've done so far this year, Jeff is probably the least known. Not because he isn't popular, but because he's just a lot newer of a character. He's from the Marvel comics, but like more recent comics, so he hasn't been around for a ton of time, but I absolutely adore him, and I think he's gotten like really popular just because he's such a lovable character, even among people who don't really read comics. Like, I don't really read comics at this point in time, mostly just because I don't have time to, but like I still know who he is and like his story, just because he's already become really iconic, even though he has only been around for a couple years. Usually I add tons of like scrapbook paper, washi tape to my spreads to kind of give it a little bit more of a 3D or like collage element to it, but I decided to keep it more simple this month with just using my pens and my markers, and I really like how it turned out. I haven't done bullet journal spreads in this style in a long time, but it is actually how I started out with bullet journaling, and so it was kind of a nice way to get back to my roots a little bit, to kind of explore, you know, making something look really full and colorful and interesting without filling it with paper or with tape, because it did, you know, it kind of required me to stretch my skills a little bit, because I couldn't just take a blank space and fill it up with paper. I had to think about composition a little bit more, and so it was a fun exercise and I quite enjoyed doing this. I actually totally made a mistake here, and I feel like probably most people wouldn't notice it until I point it out, but I originally had intended to have it look like there was a Polaroid in the background, but I didn't do like the bottom part of the frame, so it looks a little odd if you like kind of think about it, but hopefully it doesn't take away from the spread too much. I don't think it does, but I was so mad at myself when I realized I had colored it in all the way, because I had literally drawn it out, and I normally hate drawing stuff out too. I drew out this entire spread actually, which I never do, just like in pencil first, and I can't believe that I still messed up. Sometimes I wonder why I even do things in pencil first when I do them, because I still end up making like mistakes, and so I'd rather just not spend the time on something extra and just draw it out freehand. But I think I probably spent a little bit too much time thinking about these things anyways. All the tulips in the spread made me so happy. I think tulips are one of my favorite flowers. I don't know if they're my favorite flower just because I really can't decide which flower is my favorite, but I have such good memories growing up. We lived a few hours away from like this really famous tulip festival, and I would go a lot of times with my mom and with my brother sometimes too, and it's just so amazing like when you go and you see just like acres and acres of tulips basically as far as the eye can see. And so I always have good memories of that, and they're just such pretty flowers too. I can definitely see why they're so popular around the world. So the last part of the spread is just writing in the titles, and for the month I originally was just gonna do it in red, but after I had done kind of both layers of the red, it just didn't look balanced with the rest of the spread because I'd already outlined so much in black. So I went over it once more with my black brush pen, and I think it really made it fit a lot better. And after I did that, I just added in some little dots with my bright green mildliner, and the cover page was done. And luckily, I was a little bit worried it would look very Christmassy because it's a lot of reds and greens, but I think it definitely looks a lot more like spring to me, so I'm very happy. This reading list is super simple. I didn't want to make it too complicated for this month, especially because I actually made these spreads after the month that they were for, and so I didn't have any habit trackers to include or anything, so keeping it simple was definitely the way to go. After I made the title, I also added this bright border around the outside and began drawing a little picture of Jeff in the corner. Overall, I think this is probably one of my favorite reading logs that I've made. Now it's time to move on to the quotes page, where I put all of my monthly quotes that I originally have in my planner on my iPad, and I just transfer them to here. So of course we have to start off with another picture of Jeff because this month is all about him, and this time he's actually swimming too, which is super fun. Honestly, I feel like these spreads were a great way to use up so much of my gray markers. I almost never use gray because I just that type of person who loves colors so much. So I'm glad I had a chance to use it. And also in my last bullet journal spreads, I think I used gray a bit too. So I'm finally kind of breaking out of my comfort zone and using some more of those neutral colors. feel like the gap at the bottom of this title needed something, so I added a little star, which is fun. I am not the best at drawing stars, but there was a while when I was in high school that every time I was bored, like in class or something, I would just practice drawing stars freehand, so that's why I can do a semi-decent star now. I don't think my lettering is my favorite for this quotes page, and I did struggle with some of the ink of some of my pens not working great, which definitely made it a lot more difficult, but I do like how it turned out in the end. Because all my bullet journal spreads this year are based off of different characters, I always like to dedicate a page for each month that's based on the character themselves to give them a little bit more of a spotlight. So for this month, I am doing one just called It's Jeff after the comic, and it's just a series of different little poses about him and some descriptive phrases that I have alongside of it. I think this is where I've kept most of the comic book vibes, especially with the little taglines that I have later on in the spread. And I got to look up more reference photos and include more little pictures of Jeff. And if you've seen any of my other videos, you know how much I just love drawing these characters and just bringing them to life again. So these are always my favorite pages out of my monthly spread. Another thing I've really liked about doing these spreads is just how simple Jeff is to draw. I was a little bit worried because I don't spend a lot of time drawing land sharks, but I think that he's just so very easily shaped. Like the fin is a triangle, the body is more or less an oval, and even his feet are pretty simple to draw, so it was actually a lot quicker to do the spread than I thought it would be. I will say the picture in the top right corner was a little bit difficult to get the perspective of, but for the bottom picture, I was so proud of myself for how well I was able to draw it. And it might have been all the practice since that was kind of the last one that I did, but I think that one turned out so cute and it makes me so happy. I also cannot get over the fact that they have little fins on him in this picture that I found. I think that's so cute, like, and a little floaty, even though he's literally a shark and can swim. But I appreciate the attention to just making this character so much cuter than he already is. To complete the spread, I of course had to add little sparkles in his eyes, and I did another border around the side to match the other page, and it is done. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, suggestions, or comments, feel free to leave them down in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day.